With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show Podcast, Hour 2.
Hello and welcome, America. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on this here program, delighted to have you with me. You can always follow me online at EW Erickson, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Well, those are the big ones. Instagram is my favorite, EW Erickson. And text the word show to 33777, get the podcast and the like. So I told Charlie, I kind of expected something would happen. He said, no, I don't think you're gonna get pushback on this. I'm kind of disappointed. I expected to get some angry people who listen to this program to call in and call me out. Why wasn't I leading with the latest Herschel Walker stuff? So if you haven't heard, this is kind of politics and media 101. Very clearly they were holding their fire, the Daily Beast was. The Daily Beast is an organ of the Democratic Party. You do need to understand that. Regardless of the veracity of the story, they help Democrats. It's where Democrats go to plant stories about the right. And Herschel Walker fell for it. They come out with a story and they say, we cannot reveal the name of the woman. She does not want to be harassed. But here are the details. And Herschel Walker comes out and says, I don't know who this is. I don't know this woman. I know I did not pay for an abortion. And then, surprise, suddenly she wants her name out. Hell hath no fury, like a woman scorned. Of course he knows who I am. Now, this woman claims she's one of the women who also had a baby with Herschel Walker, which to a lot of people is like, wait a second. So you had an abortion, and then you had a baby, and you kept all the receipts, and this sounds suspicious. I get that. I don't know whether it's true or not. Walker's team is adamant it did not happen. Scorned lover, all of that. What I find notable is that we're supposed to believe this woman, but we are not supposed to believe Raphael Warnock's ex-wife, who he was actually married to, who says Warnock abandoned his children and ran over his wife. That's what she says. Why do we believe all women but not this one woman? Why are we to believe Herschel Walker's accuser and not Raphael Warnock's accuser? And therein lies the rub I want to talk about. The Democrats right now want the Republicans to run away from Herschel Walker. And by the way, I don't know that they will. I don't think they will. There are 4.5 weeks left. There may continue to be a drip, drip, drip of stories on Walker, and ironically, those drip, drip, drips of stories on Walker then dominate the news and overshadow any drips on Dr. Oz or Ron Johnson or Adam Laxalt, J.D. Vance, Blake Masters. The focus becomes on Walker nationally, and that actually helps the GOP because it looks like they're going to pick up Nevada. It looks like they're going to keep Pennsylvania. John Fetterman is bad, but there's something to notice here, and I wish you all to notice it. Raphael Warnock is credibly accused by his ex-wife of running her over and spousal abuse. Raphael Warnock's ex-wife accuses him of abandoning his children. It is in the record Raphael Warnock fled from a process server to avoid being sued over child support and child custody. Raphael Warnock is documented by law enforcement of disrupting an investigation into child abuse at one of his church's ministries or a related outside camp. Raphael Warnock is documented to be getting money from a church to cover his housing despite a six-figure Senate salary. Democrats are pretending Raphael Warnock is a saint compared to Herschel Walker. And how can you support Herschel Walker when Raphael Warnock is a saint? And what they do is they dismiss all of the accusations against Raphael Warnock. And conveniently, a Democratic judge in a Democratic part of Georgia sealed Raphael Warnock's divorce record so nobody can know whether the accusations are legit or not. Isn't it convenient that they get the luxury of saying he's a saint because he got his divorce record sealed so they can deny the allegations without having to be confronted with them in a court filing? This is why you're not going to get a lot of Republicans to run away from Herschel Walker. There are 4.5 weeks left. Raphael Warnock's a bad guy the media has covered for. It's like John Fetterman. John Fetterman, we've now seen the undercover footage of John Fetterman vandalizing the sign of a black-owned business in the town in which he was mayor. We've seen the video of John Fetterman chasing a black man down the street with a gun. We know John Fetterman did not pay his taxes multiple times. We know John Fetterman, despite his story of being self-made, was subsidized by his parents into his 40s. We now know today, according to a Pennsylvania press report, John Fetterman largely never showed up at his day job, Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania, to preside over the Pennsylvania Senate, but never missed a meeting of the Board of Pardon and Paroles where he had the opportunity to let a murderer out of jail. John Fetterman is not a nice guy. John Fetterman is not a good guy. John Fetterman has a lot of problems. And the Democrats want you to pour all of your contempt on Herschel Walker and ignore Warnock and ignore Fetterman. And when the media is in on it, you can hardly blame Republicans for doubling down and saying, we're not going to unilaterally surrender when one of our candidates has character problems, when the media ignores the character problems of the Democrats. It's always a one-way street. It's always unlevel. It's always unfair. We're not going to play the game anymore. I'm totally sympathetic to that, by the way. I am very sympathetic to that because Warnock is not the good man the Democrats tell you who he is. Just ask his ex-wife. Fetterman is not the good guy Democrats claim he is. What it's about is power. What it's about is power. The Democrats are standing by their men because they want to keep the Senate. The media is covering for them because the media wants them to keep the Senate. I can't blame Republicans for saying we're going to stand by Walker, who we know isn't a great guy, but it's way more important Republicans control the Senate than it is that we reject Walker because of his prior sins. There's also the issue of grace and mercy. So I understand Republicans saying we got to go vote for this guy because it's far more important that we take power in the Senate to hold the Democrats accountable than it is to say we reject you because of your character, because these other guys, they're sinners too. We're dealing with a bunch of sinners. And all the sinners are bad guys. The media only focuses on the sins of some, though, not on the sins of the others. I get all of that. I'm also very sympathetic to the people who say, you know what? Screw it. I'm not voting. I want nothing to do with any of these people. All of these people are clowns, and I don't like clowns. I saw Poltergeist. I referred to it as a poop show. Alan in my Substack said I should call it a fecal matter extravaganza. That's what they're headed to in Washington. And there are a lot of people who are going to say, I refuse to vote for any clown to go to a fecal matter extravaganza in Washington, D.C. I'm just going to go live a quiet life and opt out of politics. Neither side has made the country better. Both sides have their own issues, and I'm done with it. I understand that, too. I'm sympathetic with those people, too. I'm sympathetic. I'm going to love all y'all, regardless of what you do. I just don't know who's going to be the bigger group. And there's some data out there from Nate Silver at 538 today that suggests actually the group that says, look, Walker's not a great guy, and he might have paid for an abortion 13 years ago, but Warnock's not a great guy, and he wants you and me as taxpayers to pay for abortion today. I got to go stop him. That group may actually be larger this time. And I wouldn't blame them for going and doing it. Here's the issue. If you want to stop Joe Biden, you've got to vote against Raphael Warnock. If you want to stop Raphael Warnock, you've got to vote against Raphael Warnock. Raphael Warnock wants to end the filibuster in the Senate to enshrine abortion on demand until the moment of birth in the law. Raphael Warnock wants to advance all sorts of terrible spending problems that will make inflation worse. Raphael Warnock wants your kids indoctrinated in school that the United States is a slave nation that is still to this day systemically racist. Raphael Warnock supports the Biden Green New Deal that is driving up the costs in this country for the poor. Raphael Warnock supports having boys on girls' sports and tries to claim Jesus himself would be okay with it when we know Jesus wouldn't. Raphael Warnock supports massive tax hikes on businesses that will cause unemployment in this country. So we got to go stop them. I'm very sympathetic to the people who say we've got to go stop them. I'm really sympathetic to the idea that you got to go vote, whether you want to or not. The guy's not good. We all know he's not good. We need to go stop him. So we got to go vote for Walker, even though we know Walker's not a good guy either. We know Walker's not great. We know he's a problem. We know all these things. But policy-wise, the only way to stop the bad policies of the Biden administration is to hold them accountable. And the only way to hold them accountable is to go vote for Herschel Walker. And again, it is legitimate to say, yes, Herschel Walker might have paid for a woman's abortion 13 years ago. But Raphael Warnock wants you to pay for abortion on demand until birth tomorrow. Now, Nate Silver has this story at 538. It's actually credit to Nathaniel Rakish at 538, essentially saying that there really aren't a lot of swing voters left in Georgia. There were 27,962, I believe is the number, of people who refused to vote for Biden or Trump in 2020, and a lot of them thought that I don't like either one of them. Some of them crossed over and voted for Biden. They helped him get elected in Georgia by just over 11,000 votes, but the country right now is so bad economically that they could go vote for Walker, hold their nose and go vote for Walker. I don't know. There have been a series of polls that have come out. I don't think any of them are really credible, so I haven't spent time on them, in large part because they've been rushed. They've been rushed. But Warnock has gone up to 3.8% of the polling. One poll has him up 12 points. I don't believe it. That appears to be an anomaly. Another has him up 3, another has him up 4, but that one was conducted before the whole story. One is a Fox 5 Insider Advantage poll. Insider Advantage tends to do a better survey in Georgia than Survey USA today. Survey USA, which has him up 12. There's clearly going to be an impact in the race, but the question is, does Brian Kemp get Herschel Walker across the finish line? That's still possible. Brian Kemp has an amazing ground game, better than Stacey Abrams' ground game. But at the end of the day, I got to tell you this. I totally understand why a lot of you are saying, I don't like the story. I know he's got all sorts of problems. But if I've got to choose between two turd burgers, I'm going to choose the one that doesn't want me to pay for abortion on demand tomorrow, want the Green New Deal, and want to cause inflation, and want to drive up taxes and spending. I'm not going to go vote for that turd burger. I'm going to go vote for this one. I totally understand why you can go in and say, I'm not asked to choose between a saint and a sinner. I'm asked to choose between two sinners, and I'm going to choose the sinner whose policies will be advanced if he gets elected. That is, after all, the nature of politics today.
So winter is coming, and I got to tell you, I love the weight of the Bull and Branch sheets. I like them in the summer when it's hot and you don't want a lot of covers on you, but in the wintertime, they're just the perfect weight, the perfect, smoothness. They're 100% organic cotton threads. They've got super softness. They get softer every time you wash them. They're just, the drape when you're laying down and stuff, they're just perfect sheets. I love them. I am effusive with my praise for Bull and Branch, and I'm delighted to have them as an advertiser. Look, they're made from the highest quality threads. They got superior softness. They got over 25,000 rave customer reviews and counting. I'm one of them. The quality you can tell is great. They hold up well after all the washes I've put them through, and they just get softer. It doesn't matter what the thread count is if the fiber sucks, and you can tell they put a lot of great detail into the fibers they use. And look, Bull and Branch gives you a 30-night risk-free trial with free shipping, returns on all orders. You're going to feel the difference. You're not going to want to send them back. The first 100% organic, fair trade, certified bedding company ever. They use 90% less water than conventional production, zero pesticides, other toxic chemicals. They don't use them. It's just fantastic. Listen, I'm effusive with my praise. I love Bull and Branch. Try them for yourself. And again, you get a 30-night risk-free trial, free shipping, returns on all orders. Try the sheets that will make you fall for the coziest night's sleep in the season where you want cozy sheets. 15% off your first set of sheets. Free shipping when you use promo code ERIC, E-R-I-C-K, at bullandbranch.com. That's Bull and Branch, B-O-L-L-A-N-D branch.com. The promo code is ERIC. Trust me, they're worth it. We've got 5 bedrooms, 5 beds, Bull and Branch sheets on every bed.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on this here program, y'all, want to tell you something, and I want you to come hang out with me if you're able, wherever you are. Whether you're, and I realize this is mostly for people in the Southeast listening right now. We're going to spread out around the country. But I'm going to Governor's Gun Club. That's in Kennesaw, Georgia. It's going to be October 28th. That's the last Friday in October, right before Halloween. The Governor's Gun Club, think of it as a golf course, but for guns. It's got the world's largest indoor skeet shooting facility, or at least the America's largest indoor skeet shooting facility. It's also got incredible restaurant and food options and bourbons. And we're going to go do a bourbon tasting at a gun range. And then we're going to sit down and we're going to talk politics. It is a week before the midterms are over. And I'm going to have Rich McCormick with me, who will be going to Congress. His race, I don't even know the name of the Democrat who's running against him, who's not going to win. McCormick's going to go. He's a dear friend of mine. We're going to have somebody from Brian Kemp's campaign there to talk about the state of play in Georgia. I'm going to have others with me, and I will take your questions. I will hang out with you. There's a VIP ticket where you can come early, check out the gun range, and hang out with me before the event starts, and then come for regular general admission, have some bourbon, sit with me at the gun range. If you've been drinking, they'll give you a voucher to come back to shoot guns. If you come early, you can shoot guns before the bourbon. What you do is text the word bourbon, B-O-U-R-B-O-N. Text bourbon to 33777, and you can get a link to the website to buy a ticket and come hang out with me. I'm excited to have you. I'm excited to get this event done. I'm actually doing an event tonight at my flagship station, WSB. You know, we did a carathon in July for Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, raised about $2 million for them. One of the things I do every year is a Bourbon and Butts event where I invite people to drink from my bourbon collection and come have barbecue with me. And this is the first time in 2 years after COVID, we've been able to have people at my flagship station, WSB, where my office is. And so I'm going to give them a tour of the building. And we're going to drink fantastic bourbons. I'll tell you what I've got. So I become a really big fan of Calumet 14. It's kind of become, that and Basil Hayden are my two go-tos, and Jefferson Reserve. But Calumet 14 is kind of my staple. It's kind of pricey, though. It's hard to find. But I found a bottle of 14, but they also have a blend of the 8-year and the 15-year. And then they have a 15-year and a 16-year. So I'm going to let people walk through the lines and as the strength goes up, as the age goes up. And then the Bardstown Fusions. I've got Fusion 5 and Fusion 6. But then I have the Basil Hayden and I have my Jefferson Reserve, which are kind of my go-tos, to let people sample between whatever they want. They basically are going to have to make sure they're not drunk to leave, or we're going to have to get an Uber. But it'll be a fun night. I do that every year. I may have to expand that around the country at some point. Although I'm not traveling with my bourbon collection all over the country. I've got a massive collection. Okay, your phone calls when we come back. 877-973-7425 is the phone number. We do, believe it or not, have other news that we need to get to as well that's out there today, including new data on Hispanic voters in this country and their drift to the right, and also the whole failure to embrace reality by the Biden administration that's getting them in so much trouble these days. It's going to get the whole country in trouble if they don't soon realize they got problems. Hello there. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Let's go back to the phones. I'm going to go next to Nancy. Nancy, welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Eric?
I'm good. What's going on?
Well, I'm a longtime listener, and I wanted just to say that I know quite a few people who are voting for Herschel, and none of us are voting for him because he's a saint. I mean, we're voting for him because he's the Republican candidate. And so I want to thank you for bringing up about Warnock and his running over his wife, because they quashed that last time.
Mm-hmm.
That came up when he was running. And they obviously haven't mentioned it this time, of course. And I don't know any politician who doesn't have, who doesn't have issues. And if they didn't, but they had they've got big enough egos that it doesn't seem to bother them. So, yeah, we're all voting for Herschel, and it's not because he's a genius or he's wonderful. We're voting for him because he's the Republican candidate. That kind of sums that one up.
Yeah, look, I think a lot of – I just don't know, though, Nancy, if you're in the majority of that group of people who say, I'm going to vote for him because he's the Republican, or how many people will there be who say, I just don't like either of these guys. I'm not voting for either of them. And I know that group of people exists, and it was a precise number 2 years ago. So I don't know. My guess, however, looking at the data, is you may be in the camp that shifts this to Herschel despite everything, because there are so many people angry with Washington. They're not really voting for Herschel Walker because they like the guy or because he's Herschel Walker. They're voting because they're really mad at the Democrats.
I mean, I don't know whether it's going to be enough either. I don't know what kind of monkey wrench this story threw into him. But I feel like, I feel like personally I have to vote, because if I didn't vote, I would have to accept whatever happens, whatever comes from it. And I'm not ready to do that yet. And, I'm old enough that I remember voting for a candidate, but it has been decades since I was voting specifically for somebody because I was so enthralled with them, as opposed to voting for somebody because they were the lesser of evils, which is, just how I feel lately.
Yeah, and
But,
listen, that's kind of where we are in American politics at this point. We've got no angels or saints. We got a lot of sinners. The question is, which of the policies of the sinners do you prefer?
That's the truth, absolutely. But I want to thank you for your work, because it makes a huge difference, in my attitude. And at least when I get off listening to your program, I at least feel I feel enlightened, and I feel a little less sad about what we have going on now.
Well, look,
so
I appreciate it.
That.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening, Nancy. I appreciate the phone call very much. Honestly, here's the thing. This is my frustration. And for those of you who are disgusted by all of this, I'm not talking to Nancy right now. I'm talking to those of you who are just disgusted by it all. You don't want to participate. I want to tell you, there are people in politics I genuinely like and think are really good people. There's this joke that circulates that politics comes from Latin poly meaning many and ticks meaning blood-sucking animals. Politics. You get it? Ha. There are actually good people who do run for office. I think Brian Kemp is one of them here in Georgia. I think the world of Brian Kemp. Brian Kemp is one of the very few political people that my wife really likes. Nikki Haley is one of those people who I think the world, she's a personal friend. I love Nikki Haley. She's a personal friend. And I know some of these people. Tom Cotton in Arkansas, I genuinely like Tom Cotton. He is a very, very nice person. I like him tremendously. But there are also a lot of people in politics who are deeply self-interested, deeply selfish, who want to go to Washington for power. And those are the people who you don't often want, and those are often the people you have to choose between. And they're going to Washington, and one side wants you to not vote at all. And those of you who are out there who are thinking, this is contemptible, I refuse to pick, I do want you to understand that it is a campaign strategy as well that you're falling into. Voter suppression is a real thing, not in the way the Democrats talk about it, like Stacey Abrams and the like. What it is one side drives up the negatives so badly on the other side, you become so disgusted by the whole thing that you don't vote. You do need to understand this is part of Raphael Warnock's strategy. The Reverend Warnock wants you so disgusted by both men that you don't vote, because the Reverend Warnock has concluded there are enough pro-abortion progressives in Atlanta to get him across the finish line. If you are so disgusted by the whole thing, you just move on to the next line of the ballot and vote for Brian Kemp over Stacey Abrams. This is a political strategy. You do need to understand that. And the most amazing thing about this particular strategy is that it doesn't feel like one to you, because you already hate politics, you already hate the politicians, you're already grossed out by the whole thing, and so you just don't vote. Rubbing your nose in it, however, is a legitimate campaign strategy. I'm not faulting the Democrats for pushing this. It's a legitimate strategy. It's what I was warning of in the primary they would do to Herschel Walker. They're doing it. The question is, do you take the bait and skip? Or do you say the only way to hold the Democrats accountable is to vote for Herschel Walker, whether I like him or not? That's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do, because I totally understand those of you. I know people. I go to church with people who are so disgusted. They're like, I'm not participating in this race. It feels like I'm doing the Clinton-Trump thing again, and I set that out. I'll sit this out too. I know people who feel that way. I'm not going to condemn you. I'm not going to blame you, but I do want your eyes open to it, that you are participating in a deliberate strategy by the Democrats to keep you from voting. They will try it with Dr. Oz here very soon on this puppy story, where he did medical experiments that were necessarily done on puppies, and somehow they're going to make it a bad thing to try to suppress the vote. As long as you know, eyes wide open, going into this, that's what's happening. I'm okay with you making a decision, but you do need to understand it is part of the strategy. The getting off the ride and not participating, it's part of what the Democrats want you to do, because they know if you all show up, Warnock loses. But also, you need to understand this. If you are Herschel Walker or someone on his team, you need to understand today is Thursday, October 6th. You have tomorrow. You have tomorrow. Can one of you, go to my podcast when it comes up this afternoon, find this section and play it for your candidate? You have until tomorrow to make your response, make it aggressive, and blanket the airwaves. Why? Because on Sunday, your voters are going to go to church. And for every voice that says, well, I hate them both, but I'm going to go vote for Walker, there will be a loud and equally dominant voice that says, I hate them both, and I don't know why I've got to choose between two trash candidates. And if you want to dominate the conversation and you want to trump that voice, you've got to make the case. Raphael Warnock is attacking me and my family with a bunch of lies because they don't want you to pay attention to the attacks he's enabled on your family, the crime in your neighborhood. If you're Herschel Walker, you got to be on air before people get to church on Sunday and start talking about this issue. This will be the first time people have gotten together face to face who are your voters, and you need to provide the answer to them. You need to be on TV and radio nonstop. So have an answer for the people who say, I hate them both. Why should I participate? Because the economy, because crime, because grocery prices. Raphael Warnock is trying to distract you from what he's done to you by attacking me and my family. That must be your answer. Raphael Warnock wants you to vote for him or sit it out. You have the ability to go make this about crime in the economy, not about me, not about him, crime in the economy. And he's trying to distract you with a false attack on me. I deny the attack. It is not true. What is true is that inflation has gone up. We're headed into a recession. Gas prices are up. Food prices are up. And there's crime down the street from you because of Raphael Warnock's policies that he voted for. You got to do this. Time's running out. Your voters get together with the skeptics on Sunday in church, and they need an answer. Bill, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Eric, my blood is boiling. He is a socialist. Not only that, so I have sent enough hate emails to Warnock, or enough stop this stupid spending stuff emails to Warnock, that somehow I got on his list, and now he's celebrating this stuff he's promoting. I got this email yesterday. Big news. He's promoting the Rent Relief Act, which is going to give money to people whose total house bill exceeds 30% of their income. That includes rent and utilities. He wants to start the American Dream Down Payment Act, so you too can buy a house whether you're qualified or not. And then there's something else about the housing transparency. It's strict socialism. So if you don't care about him running over his wife, and you don't care about Herschel abusing his ex-wife, do it for the anti-socialism.
You mean the inflation? I mean, that's what this is going to cause, is more inflation.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. All of the things he wants to do is spend more taxpayer money and also pay for abortions on demand until birth. Bill, thanks for that. I mean, he's providing you distinctly a reason to vote for Walker, even if you don't like the guy, because otherwise he's just going to drive up inflation with all of his big spending deals, in addition to paying for abortion on demand until birth. I mean, it's your choice. Not gonna condemn you if you say I hate them both. I'm not voting. That's a legitimate choice. But just make sure you understand you're falling for the campaign tactic of suppressing your vote by making it as negative as possible to keep you on the sidelines. If you're concerned, go fire up an Eden Pure Thunderstorm and maybe clear the air. You can get 3 of them right now. I don't know that you can take them to the polls, clear the air there, but nonetheless, go to EdenPureDeals.com today. Put in Eric3, ERICK3, as your discount code, and you can get 3 Eden Pure Thunderstorms for less than $200. You're saving $200. You're getting free shipping at EdenPureDeals.com. What does it do? It wipes out odors. Now, it's an air purifier, so it gets rid of the pollen and the dust as well. But I'm a big fan of its properties eliminating odors. I've used it in my car. I've used it in rental cars. I've used it in hotel rooms. It gets rid of litter box odors, smoke odors, musty odors, you name it. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3. You get 3 of them for less than $200. You are saving $200, and you get free shipping, all available at EdenPureDeals.com. Yes, you should. I sent out a recipe yesterday. You can get on that list. Text recipe, singular, not plural, singular, to 33777. The phone number here, 877-973-7425. Let's go back to the phones. Chris, you're going to be up next. Welcome, Chris. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. What's going on?
Can you hear me? I'm on my speakerphone.
Oh, yes. You sound fine. I would never know it was a speakerphone.
I just was calling in to say I'm a widow. I'm 76. I've been a conservative Republican since 1965 when I married my husband. He was a young Republican, and he died 13 years ago. But from my point of view and from my age bracket, I think Herschel Walker needs to make an ad. Now, I understand he doesn't have the money. He needs to make an ad refuting these claims. I am not going to give him any more money until I hear him say what some of the ads have said. If he has 4 children by 4 different women, that is worrisome to me. And whether or not Trump put him in, I don't know about all that. But I will vote for him, but I'm not going to give him money. And there may be people my age that are not giving him money because we have not heard on all these TV ads anything except him saying he's an honest guy. And there have been too much said in all those other ads by Warnock that are just so bad. I don't understand why he hasn't made one to refute some of these things. I'm a born-again Christian, have been since 1969, and those things matter to me in a candidate. It's been upsetting to me.
I don't think you're alone. I don't think you're alone, Chris. That's why I tell him before Sunday they need to have some sort of response. They've got one ad out, Chris. I'll play this one for you. One ad out. This ad was done before the abortion story came out. Keep that in mind. But this is the first of what is supposed to be a larger response.
Reverend Warnock's running a nasty, dishonest campaign. Perfect for Washington. The Reverend doesn't even tell my full story, my true story. As everyone knows, I had a real battle with mental health. Even wrote a book about it. And by the grace of God, I've overcome it. Warnock's a preacher who doesn't tell the truth. He doesn't even believe in redemption. I'm Herschel Walker, saved by grace, and I approve this message.
That's his first ad. Responding, and this is really responding to all the prior issues, essentially saying, I wrote a book about it. I struggle with mental health. I've overcome it. Warnock lies and doesn't even believe in redemption. Now, that ad may do nothing for you, but he's got to come out with more. This is a start, but this can't be it. There must be more. Why? Because you just heard Chris. Chris is going to go vote for him, but she's not happy about it. What do you think the conversation is going to be at church on Sunday when Chris is there? This is Walker's base. Warnock is trying to get Walker's base to stay home. This is basic political blocking and tackling. That's all this is. You may hate Warnock for doing it. You may say it's dishonest. It may make you mad, but it's a legitimate political tactic that campaigns have done for years, trying to convince the other guy's base he is such damaged goods, you really can't go vote for him. And it's going to work with some people. The question is how many. For the Walker campaign, they've got to make it as few as possible, because 27,900 people in 2020 sat out the presidential race and handed Georgia to Joe Biden. Had half of those people gone to vote for Donald Trump, he would be president Or he would have won Georgia. He wouldn't have been president because of the rest of the Electoral College. But he would have won Georgia. Had half of that 27,900 gone to vote. This is the real-world number the Walker campaign's dealing with. They've got to be responsive. They've got to be aggressive. They've got to do it now. They say they've raised a whole lot of money. Well, show me the money in the form of an ad, pushing back on this stuff, blanket the airwaves, saturate it. If you're not going to do that, why should people put their trust in you with their vote? It's a legitimate issue. The campaign, I think at the fundamentals, understands this. The question is, does Herschel Walker understand it?